Moses Itauma absolutely, emphatically destroys Jermaine Franklin in 5 rounds. What a KO. What an incredible shot to stop and finish the fight off in the 5th round. Guys, I called it. When I did my final prediction with Enzo from EMGM Sports, I said that Itauma was going to stop Jermaine Franklin in 5 rounds. And that's exactly what we saw in this fight. What an incredible fight. And as you can see on your screen right now, this was my scorecard, right? I called all 5 rounds to Moses Itauma, and then there was 2 knockdowns and then the knockout in round 5. But look, let's go through the rounds because I think it's really interesting. What we've learned is that Moses Itauma has ticked some things off the list of things that I think he needs to do to develop as a young fighter coming up in the heavyweight division. In round 1, I gave it to Moses Itauma because, he was sharp, he controlled the distance. Franklin was live in round 1. Franklin looked like, he knew what he was doing. He looked like he wanted to take Moses Itauma to the latter rounds. And I kept saying in round 1 that Franklin needs to get out of the corner. He needs to get out of the ropes. And he was heavy. And that's why he wasn't able to do that. And because of that, Itauma landed some really good shots to the body. Itauma landed some really good chopping right hands, which in the end caused Franklin some problems in round 3, which we'll talk about in a second. But round 1 was Itauma really taking sort of dominion of the ring. He was landing some really good jabs. He was putting Franklin on the back foot. And Itauma was just enjoying himself in it, just making it really difficult for Franklin to land anything. Itauma showed some really good head movement. He showed that his feet were much quicker than Franklin. And it showed that his hand speed was just blistering because the amount of time that Itauma landed some really sharp counters on Franklin was really beautiful in the first round. And then in the second round, Itauma did the same thing. He went on the ascendancy. He won on the front foot, put Franklin back in the corner again, started landing some big shots in there. And Franklin, credit to him because, he looked like a warrior in there. He took some massive shots. And, I was surprised that he didn't go down in the earlier rounds, in round 1 or round 2. But he survived because, let's be honest, Franklin came into this fight without being knocked down or being stopped before. So we knew that Franklin was going to be durable. We knew that Franklin was going to come in there and he was going to make it really difficult for Itauma to have any success. And although Itauma had success in the first and the second round, it wasn't, success where you thought, oh, Franklin was out of this. Because Franklin was still in there. Although he was losing the fight, he was still in there because this is the heavyweight division and it only takes 1 shot. And then round 3 happens where things change or where the beginning of the end started to ensue, which is, Itauma came out of the blocks really sharp, really focused. I think in round 3, Itauma thought that I need to get this guy out of there because the longer I let him stay in this fight, the more dangerous it will become for me. And Itauma really pressed the action in round 3. He landed some really good shots. His jab was really good. His front foot work was fantastic. And then every time that Franklin tried to counter, Itauma will use his footwork to circle around Franklin and then throws a counter. So it was really good, and then the southpaw backhand was landing at will in the 3rd round. So then you could see that Franklin was losing a little bit of confidence in round 3 because he was getting touched up. He was getting hit too much. And then the beginning of the end started when Itauma cornered Franklin and then landed a massive shot to the temple, a right hand to the temple, which sent Franklin down on the canvas. Referee counted to 8 rounds. Franklin got up around 7. Itauma wasn't able to finish Franklin off because it didn't take long before the bell went for round 3. But this is where everything changed for Franklin in this fight. When he came back in round 5, you could see that Franklin was looking to survive. You could see that Franklin was looking to take Itauma to maybe to the 5th round, maybe to the 6th round, and then Franklin will start doing work in round 6 or round 7 because I think that was Franklin's game plan, to survive the earlier rounds, take Itauma into deep waters, and then try and drown him. And what we saw was Itauma came into round 4 very sharp. During the live watch along, I said that can Itauma capitalize on the fact that Franklin was knocked down in round 3? And I don't think Itauma did that. But what he did was he softened Franklin for round 5. Itauma started going to the body. So instead of going to the head, which he did in round 1, 2, and 3, Itauma started going to the body in round 4 and basically taking the wind out of Franklin, reducing Franklin's gas tank as the fight goes on. So in round 4, Itauma took control of the fight, started landing shots to the body. Franklin tried to counter, but then Itauma was too fast to get in range and out of range. It was just difficult for Franklin to do anything. Itauma then started to chip away from Franklin. You could see that Franklin's confidence was reducing as he was in round 4 because he was taking big shots, he was missing as well, and Itauma was digging to the body. Now, credit to Franklin once again, he stayed resolute, he stayed resilient, he was in there, and his pride was getting in the way of him getting knocked out. And that's what kept Franklin there, because he wasn't winning the fight, he wasn't landing many shots, but he was in there because he's prideful, because he's a warrior, because he's a fighter, and he was trying to take Itauma into deep waters. And then round 5, where everything ended. Itauma came into round 5. I think he had the feeling that Franklin was done. So then he had to put his foot on the pedal and go for it. And that's what Itauma did. He started landing some really good jabs. And then the southpaw left hand started finding home to the body, to the head. And basically Itauma started pushing Franklin back. Now, what Franklin did in round 5 that caused his demise, that he tried to fight Itauma in close range. Because before, prior to round 5, Franklin was fighting from a longer range. So Itauma had to get closer to Franklin to land big shots. But what happened in round 5 was Franklin thought that he could press the action and get closer to Itauma. But that was a big mistake, because when he did, Itauma landed an incredible left uppercut, which stunned Franklin. Franklin was out on his feet. Itauma then followed up with a short right hand and put Franklin on a canvas. And that was the end of it. The referee did not even administer a count. He stopped the fight there and then. And Moses Itauma scored an incredible 5th round KO. That was special. Moses Itauma is special. Moses Itauma has shown that he's got the skills, he's got the ability, he's got the mental fortitude as well to just stay in there when things are not going his way in terms of him getting the knockout. He's still staying there, he's still winning the rounds, he's still landing those jabs, and he's biding his time for when he can get the opportunity to land that big shot. And that's exactly what we saw in this fight, because what we've seen in many of his fights is he's gotten his opponent out of there in the 1st and 2nd round. But in this fight, he had to tick the box of going a few rounds, being in there with someone that has never been knocked out before, never been knocked down before, but then taking his time and taking the opportunity to do the job when the chance presented itself. And that's exactly what Moses Itauma did. Look, Moses Itauma is an incredible fighter. He's definitely the future of the heavyweight division. And what we're seeing there is something reminiscent of Mike Tyson when he used to blow everyone that was put in front of him to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I think Moses Itauma is going to become a world champion and hopefully become an undisputed champion in the future. But the question about who Moses Itauma will fight next, that is something that we're going to do a separate video about. But for this video, I just want to talk about the incredible performance from Moses Itauma in stopping Jermaine Franklin in 5 rounds. I want you guys to get in the comment section and let me know what you thought about this fight. What was your prediction before the fight? What did you thought about Moses Itauma's performance? And what do you think about the knockout in round 5? Get in the comment section and let me know.